Peace. So, when it comes down to education, institutionalized education, that does not determine the intelligence of an individual or a person or a people or so on and so forth. Why am I speaking this way? Because it's important to understand that whenever we are talking about the ideology of nation building, it is well to know that everyone's contributions are necessary and useful. And it is just not that due to institutionalized formal education, does that make you more supreme or intelligent over anyone else who doesn't have that? Because again, when you're nation building, it takes all types of elements and components to build a nation. You understand what I'm saying? You do have an intellectual component. You do have a part of the component that deals with education and intellectual endeavors and so on and so forth. But you also have a component that deals with infrastructure. You have a component that deals with the basics and the necessities, things such as trades, things such as carpentry, electricians and plumbers and so on and so forth. We need these types of people also. We need these things in order to build. So it is not just necessarily designed upon, education and formal education, because not everyone is designed or intended to go on to formal education. That's a choice. Some of us utilize and learn in many different ways. There's a thing called multiple intelligences, and multiple intelligences basically deal with the way in which an individual learns. And there are 7 or 8 different ways that a person can learn. And all of those ways aren't just centered around the traditional inside of a classroom situation. There's hands-on, there's audio-visual, there's kinetic, and so on and so forth. So there are many aspects to education. There are many subsidiaries to what intelligence means or intellect or so on and so forth. It is not just based on someone going to school. Again, everybody's contributions are useful in this endeavor because it takes a variety of things to build a society of any sort, a nation, a tribe, or whatever. You have special elements in each component that each contribution has to offer to this building process that makes the building process successful. Therefore, the intellectuals stay in their intellectual endeavor. You understand? The builders build. We have builders who are operative builders. We have those who actually can build houses and infrastructures and so on and so forth. And then you have the speculative builders, those like myself who build through education and who build through research and so on and so forth, which will open and expand our conscious thought process and things of that nature. So we have different types of academia also. Academia is not just on the process of institutionalized buildings and schools. Academia comes from all aspects. Yeah, I mean, an academy can be anywhere. An academy can be right outside your front door if you make it possible, because we know again that education is holistic. And if education is holistic, that means intelligence is a manifestation of the holistic approach. So there's not one way to learn. And there's not one way that makes one learner better than another. And there's not one institution or one methodology that makes one better than the other. Everybody is useful in this endeavor. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's contributions will work. So we should begin to look beyond the stereotypical thought processes that we have. Some of our own people who become educated forget about where they come from, and they feel that because they are educated and they have academia that it moves them into a different status. And it does, because in their mind they place themselves in that status. They might not be accepted in that status in the real world, but they place their own selves mentally in that status, and they separate themselves from their people. The thing about education for me is that, if I got educated, if I use education, I'm using it to benefit myself and to better myself and to better my people. I always try to include my people in anything I do because I can't do anything alone. So I always look at it from the holistic approach. And that's the great thing about where I'm coming from. You understand? I don't base your work with me or my work with you based on how many years of college you have. I base that on your action. I base that on your determination and your ability to produce and manufacture from your own creative cycle. That's what we all have. We have creative cycles. We have innate talents that we should also depend upon. Our people have been, systematically taught to go to school, get a job, and work for someone else and make someone else rich. Some of us work 12, 13 hours a day. For those of you who do work 12 to 13 hours a day, imagine if you work 12 to 13 hours a day every day for your own self, pushing your own ideas and your own dreams and aspirations and so on and so forth. We might do better. We have been taught this way. You understand? Many millionaires and billionaires are not those who went to school, who have been institutionalized, who have been institutionally educated. Many of those people are those who have actually went against certain norms of that system. You know what I mean? And found their riches through their own innate talents. So that is something that we must also examine too. When we're looking at what education is, when we're looking at what intellect means, when we're looking at what intelligence is, never ever measure it by how many college degrees someone has. Because see, college is just simply training. Like anything else, college is just a form of training. It is a form of indoctrination. So anybody can be trained. You understand? We train and train each other every single day in our interactions, in our relationships. So again, I just wanted to articulate and just make us all remember that none of us are greater than any of us. And we must think about each other all the time in everything that we do, and realize that the only way that we are going to be a unit and work as a body, as if we play our parts as the body works, every capillary, every vein, every cell, every organ. You know what I mean? Every piece of the body internally as well as externally working together to formulate one beautiful idea called the human being. You understand? So this is what we are intended to do as a people. You know what I mean? But we have to get beyond certain little trickle down things that we debate about or that we fight about or whatever. These things are unnecessary and they're distractions. So with that, I just wanted to say everything is useful. Everybody is useful. Every talent you have, you bring it to the table and you get with like minds and we begin to create. That is the idea. That is the movement, to create, to produce, to manufacture. Peace.